Miss Whitehead. Miss Whitehead. Miss Whitehead is coming.
I'm sorry. To be followed by Heidi Landon Green.
Good afternoon. My name is Carrie Whitehead. You've seen me here before. I come today after another particularly bad experience with White Oak Music Hall's outdoor lawn for close to 4,000 concert goers. This past Thursday was intolerable. Children around our neighborhood not only could not sleep due to the tow trucks, HPD with their alarm lights on, car alarms going off outside their windows, but they were also forced to listen to profanity-laced lyrics for 2 hours, punctuated by very loud simulated gunfire. It was awful. The neighborhood was a mess, and it was awful. It was an awful experience. Worse yet, and this is the worst part, an ambulance had to get to my neighbor and had to take a detour and park a block away to respond to a baby in respiratory distress on the 400 block of Cosmos. Our neighborhood is a mess during these lawn events. This is White Oak's behavior as they face a trial 6 weeks away. How bad will it get? How bad will it get once the specter of a lawsuit is removed? It certainly stands to reason that it surely won't get better. This is surely not what the city had in mind when they granted White Oak Music Hall $1.1 million in tax incentives or fast-tracked their permitting at the very same time we were coming here, pleading with you to help us. And where did that get us? Nowhere. We're back here in the same place, but now with a much larger number of people, voters, taxpayers affected and complaining. A sampling from next door from Thursday night. Woodland Heights, loud and clear on the 700 block of Merrill, and not lyrics my mother would approve of. Woodland Heights, super loud at Morrison and West Norma. From Monty Beach, Brooke Smith. Unbelievable how these people completely misrepresented their intentions years ago when this concept became public. Loud and clear in the south of Monty Beach, Brooke Smith tonight. And no, it did not end at 10 o'clock. This is 3/4 of a mile away. Woodland Heights. Maybe we should have the mayor come see what the volume is like in our homes. Wonder how he would like it. And by the way, this place has not been built. Not one shovel has been put in the ground. On paper and in reality, there is nothing to be shut down. Construction crews and associated costs have not been deployed to build a permanent stage with several dozen costly restrooms. If you enforce your codes and ordinances to the letter of the law, they cannot do what they want to do, which is what they did last Thursday night, what they've done for the last year and a half. White Oak Music Hall has proven themselves incapable of managing their hall. Don't shut them down. Tell them to move the shows indoors. Thanks.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms.
I'm sorry, one second, I'm sorry. Councilman Kubash.
Mayor, I have one question. I got called to the back. Is the city involved in any litigation in this, Mayor?
No, sir, we're not.
We're not involved in any litigation. Okay. I was just concerned that we're not involved in it, but I'm certainly concerned about what you're going through.
Are we involved or are we not? I'm sorry.
Well, I apologize. We are, Mayor. We have been brought into the lawsuit.
Okay.
It's a declaratory, they filed a declaratory action.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Knox.
That's what my question was. So we really can't comment much if we're a party to the lawsuit, right? Well, may I just say I appreciate your predicament, and I'm sensitive to your concerns. Thank you.
Councilwoman Cisneros.
This is a very frustrating experience, and my heart goes out to everyone who has to be, subjected to, those kinds of lyrics blasting, shaking their homes in the night. But we now are, since we are involved in the litigation, we've been attached to the lawsuit that was filed by some of the neighbors. It is now in the hands of a judge who's the one who's determining how many concerts there can still be, when they are. I mean, that is where we are. And so I know there are a number of concerts that are still coming that, before the trial, scheduled for December 11th, I believe.
Yes.
And I am not familiar with those performers that are coming. My husband was a little bit, and he says these are going to be really loud. So there's more coming, and we may be seeing you back here in a few weeks. But I think that that we are where we are right now while it's being litigated.
But just as the last speaker said, I would hope that HPD is given a green light on everything that they can do in order to maintain control and safety of the crowds and traffic or the patrons and the neighborhood. It was frightening to hear the story of my neighbor when the baby, seconds matter.
Right, that's right. Thank you for being here, Carrie.
Thanks.
Okay, Ms. Landon Green. Ms. Landon Green.
Ms. Green is on the way.
No, here she comes.
She's on the way.
Will be followed by Ms. Nicola Davies.
Good afternoon, Mayor Turner, City Council members.
Get right behind the mic for us. Thank you.
My name is Heidi Landon Green, and I'm also here today to talk about the concert that was held at White Oak Music Hall on October 19th, last Thursday, a school night by ASAP Mob. And let me mention this concert was so loud that White Oak Music Hall received a noise citation. The lyrics from the songs performed by ASAP Mob are crude, misogynistic, violent, and racist. Some of these songs are punctuated with the sound of gunfire. I have a CD of one of the songs, and I was wondering if I could take the opportunity to play it.
Do we allow that? No.
No? Okay. Wait, was that a yes or a no?
That's a no.
No. Okay. Then may I take the opportunity to quote some of the lyrics?
Certainly you may.
I may?
Yes.
And let me just say that these lyrics are explicit. So am I allowed to use explicit lyrics?
It's a thin line between First Amendment, so I'm going to defer to the First Amendment.
So I can go ahead? Then let me go ahead and quote these lyrics. And let me say I'm really glad that the school children that were here earlier have left the room. And keep in mind that these were the lyrics that were blasted through our neighborhood, actually several neighborhoods. This is an outdoor venue in the middle of residential properties. And I'm embarrassed to say these words, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Better let your bitch go, 'cause she's feeling me. And besides, she a hoe. She fucked him and me. And I gave her the beast like I'm Timothy, moonwalking in that pussy like Billie Jean.
Point of order. Mayor, I think they've given us to it in writing. I'm just not excited about listening to profanity. And I know what you're...
1 second, please. Let's maintain the decorum.
Do we have it in writing?
You do, yes.
Just
Councilmember Christie, yes, you do.
Let us read it that way. I just don't want a public channel to, you don't know who's this. So.
Right, and just keep in mind, this is what we experienced on Thursday night by these performers, blasting through our neighborhoods. So you can appreciate some of what we went through that night. Vulgar, misogynistic, racist, violent songs blasting through our neighborhoods. So I think that's enough. Thank you for stopping me.
I appreciate it.
Needless to say, I don't want my 11-year-old son Milo and my 9-year-old daughter Corinne to hear this music. As a parent, I have the right to prevent my children from being exposed to this language. These explicit lyrics are not permitted on commercial radio. If sold, there is an explicit language warning on songs and CDs. And I can put a safe mode on my computer so that my children don't see these videos on YouTube. This music was blasted into the residential neighborhoods of Near North Side, Glen Park, Germantown, and Woodland Heights by White Oak Music Hall. This area includes hundreds of houses with families and the city of Houston's Woodland Park, to which my home backs up. All of the families enjoying the park that night were exposed to this music. I and other neighborhood parents were not able to protect our children, again, from this crude, misogynistic, from the racist lyrics and the frightening sound of gunfire last Thursday night. City Council member Carla Cisneros lives in Woodland Heights. She must have friends or neighbors who heard the concert. Were any of them concerned about the volume? Did they discuss it with her? What about the lyrics? Would City Council feel comfortable hosting an ASAP Mob concert in Woodland Park? That is essentially what they did on Thursday night.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time has expired. Thank you.
Councilwoman Knox.
Thank you I think your point was well made in that council took an opportunity to stop listening to that. We have the ability to control that in this room, and yet you do not have the ability to control the content or the volume in your own home. That speaks volumes to me, and I appreciate you being here today to demonstrate that for us.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Knox.
Councilmember Christie.
Well presented.
Thank you.
And Councilmember Kubash.
If all the words that are on this paper were said, it's very offensive. They may have very well done exactly what you needed them to do when you go to court, because I can't imagine, as you had said, that the record labels would have warnings on them for children, and to think that children would have to listen to this in the presence of their parents is it's just egregious, and I'm very sorry. I opposed all of this loud music from the beginning. If you know me, you know that. So I wish you the best.
Thank you, Councilmember Kubash.
Councilmember Cisneros.
I'd like to thank you for being here. You made a very, very persuasive argument, and I thank you for sharing the lyrics. I think that some of the things Councilmember Kubash just said are accurate. You know, that in terms of how this will affect the trial, and that'll be interesting to see. You know, so. And just for the record, I was not here when this was voted on and approved initially, and so we'll just see how this plays out in court. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Cisneros.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Nicola Davies, to be followed by, I believe, let me see, Ms. Thelma Scott.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Ms. Davis.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nicola Davis, and I live at 311 Cosmos Street, 2 blocks from the debacle that is White Oak Music Hall. I'm back here today to remind you that this ill-conceived, ill-sighted business, the one that says it cares about the neighbourhood that it bought its way into, the one this city stuck its neck out for with respect to planning, and the one that doesn't have the consent of its nearest neighbours, fails. It fails in every way I can think of. White Oak Music Hall has continued to spew noise, including low-frequency bass, that invades our homes during periods of the day when we want nothing more but to wind down in peace. This music has continued to infiltrate my home and my daughter's bedroom with no regard for the day of the week, no regard for the curfew, and no regard to the city noise ordinance restrictions. Citations continue to be raised and unenforced. Unbelievably, as you've just heard, White Oak Music Hall this week showed their true colours. At a time when this business should be showing what a considerate neighbour they are, these charlatans put on the loudest concert we have endured yet. And to make matters worse, not only was the music loud, but we were also subjected to a constant barrage of FUs and racist language. If White Oak Music Hall wanted to send the neighbourhood a clear message as to their intentions for this venue, then last week's obnoxious constant sent that message loud and clear. They have no respect for the community, and their misplaced sense of importance does not give them the right to do whatever they want. Who, in their right minds, while operating under a temporary injunction, does this to their community? My frustration with White Oak Music Hall is surpassed only by my disappointment with with some members of this council. You, the mayor, and our representative, Carla Cisneros. You've shown no leadership. You're hiding behind legacy council members' decisions, and that is shameful. Hiding behind outdated planning regulations is negligent. Suggesting that White Oak Music Hall is here now and we must put up and shut up is factually incorrect. Despite the strings this council pulled, there is still no permanent stage. And most of all, this city's refusal to partake in mediation to resolve this matter is truly unbelievable. Leadership requires you to listen to all parties and lead to find resolutions. I have researched how other city councils have handled situations like this. It's illuminating, and you should do it. Instead, you choose to put your head in the sand to block out the music instead of facing the issues. You're complicit. Shame on you.
Your time has expired. Thank you.
Councilmember Stoddard.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming down, ma'am.
Here. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thank you all for coming down and highlighting the fact that what you're all having to endure. Mayor, I have a question. It's my own ignorance. Can you help me understand exactly what it is why we wouldn't be able to shut them down with this kind of language and the violations of the sound ordinance? At some point, where do we stop the madness and where do we just make it right?
Right now, it's in a court of law, Councilmember Stoddard.
Sorry?
It's in a court of law, and so are we. It is in court.
Civil
so the
court,
enforcement,
not criminal court.
So the enforcement between now and the time of the ruling, we don't have any jurisdiction?
As one of the speakers indicated, a citation was issued the other night for noise ordinance. A citation was issued.
How much was it for?
I don't know, council member.
It was for violation of the noise, or one of the requirements of the noise ordinance, violation of bass, and I believe.
Well, regardless of when we voted on this or didn't vote on this or whatever the case may be, something has got to stop. This is obscene, and I think that it's unacceptable that it continues in a venue that would be the public would be exposed to it without choice, regardless of whether it's residents or anyone passing by. This is unacceptable. So, do we have
just bear in mind that we are a party in the lawsuit, Councilmember Stoddard.
Bear in mind that I have an opinion that it's obscene. Thank you.
Councilmember Kubosh.
Mayor, I'd like to ask the city attorney a question, if it's all right.
Certainly.
Mr. Zamora, I know you've been a prosecutor in the city municipal courts for many, many years. Is music that's played with vulgarity like what we just saw, is this a criminal offense, whether or not it's Class C or B, or is it considered harassing communication or something of that nature?
In terms of a criminal offense, not one that I can think of. It's not harassment. It might certainly, if it goes above, if they're violating noise levels, certainly.
Is it because it's being sung? If I hollered this at a lady walking down the street and just started hollering these words at her, would that be considered a criminal offense?
So the facts of every case are different. I can't speak specifically. You do, perhaps, and I wasn't there, so I can't speak to the facts of this case, but, there's... If you are attempting, in some some instances using that kind of language. It doesn't have to be the language. You could be instances where you're disturbing the peace, but that's again, I can't speak without being there, and there are just other factors to take into consideration.
Well, I know
so
that
I can't
you've
say
handled,
specifically.
I know you've handled many cases with harassing communication. I know it's a common thing, you know. So I was just trying to see if that in itself is a violation of a criminal statute.
Not in and of itself, no.
Okay. So there's no reason to contact the district attorney or anything.
I can't think of anything that would rise to the level of a charge that would be under their jurisdiction. That is correct.
Is it because it's a song, you think, maybe? Is it protected by First Amendment right?
I don't know why there's no crime. I just can't think of one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just can't think of
one.
one.
If you can think of one, let me know.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.